She painted the ones the world had already decided about. Not because she wanted to make a point, but because she looked at a face and could not look away until she had found the true thing living inside it. And then she had to press that truth into pigment before it disappeared. The man whose exhaustion had become a kind of weather, expected, ambient, no longer worth remarking on. The pregnant body, heavy and unapologetic. The old body, carrying its whole history in the loosened skin and the shifted weight. The neighbor, the child with the serious eyes who already knew something. She chose them all. That choosing was its own radical act, quieter than a manifesto, more lasting than a speech. To look carefully at a life the world has turned away from is to insist, without argument, that it matters. Alice Neel never argued. She simply looked. The chair was always the same. The window, always the same. Light arriving from the left, the sounds of the city pressing through the glass like something that wanted to be included. She needed the body present, breathing, shifting slightly when it forgot to hold still. She was waiting for that, the moment when a person stopped performing themselves and simply was. The hands going loose in the lap, the jaw releasing something it had been holding since morning. The eyes settling into an expression no mirror had ever caught. That was what she painted, not the face a person carried into the world, the face beneath it. Her subjects described the experience in similar ways, a strangeness, a feeling of being looked at more completely than they were used to, not exposed, something closer to the opposite of exposed, recognized, held in a gaze that had no agenda except to see. She worked slowly. She worked from life, always from life. The living body in the room with its breath and its weight and its small unconscious confessions. Paint does not lie when the body in front of it is real. She moved to East Harlem in the 1930s, and she stayed for nearly 30 years. The Puerto Rican families, the Dominican families, the women who kept households burning on almost nothing and maintained their dignity the way you maintain a flame in wind, with the body, with the cupped hands, with patient, unrelenting attention. Neel painted them the way a river records its banks, because it cannot pass through without leaving a mark. There is a painting of a woman named Georgette Seabrook, made in 1936. She sits in a white dress that, against the dark background, carries almost the quality of light. She has been looking back at us for nearly 90 years. In 1964, Neel painted a pregnant woman. Not allegorically, not draped in softness and elevated beyond the physical, just the body as it actually was. The belly round and hard and present, the skin pulled tight across the enormous fact of new life pressing outward. The woman's face, clear-eyed, unsentimental, completely herself. This was not how pregnant bodies were painted. This was not how they were supposed to look. Not in galleries, not in the cultural imagination that had spent centuries turning the pregnant form into either a Madonna or a symbol. Neel gave her back her specificity. That is the gift that runs through all the body paintings. The old bodies, the grieving bodies, the bodies marked by time and illness and the slow accumulation of living. She looked at what flesh actually does over a life, and she found it worthy of the same attention Velázquez gave to royalty, the same gravity Rembrandt gave to age. A woman in her 80s, the skin no longer taut, the weight redistributed by decades, the whole history of a body, visible. Neel painted that, with tenderness and without flinching. She did not flatter. She did not soften the jaw or lengthen the neck or arrange the light to be kind in the ways that light can be arranged to be kind. She painted what was there. The asymmetry, the tension held in the shoulders, the anxiety that lived in the hands of a person who did not know what to do with their hands. And yet her portraits are among the most tender things in 20th century painting. She looked until she loved, every time. The love was not separate from the difficulty of what she saw. It moved through the difficulty, the way light moves through imperfect glass, changed by it, made stranger and more beautiful by it. Her subjects left that chair larger than they arrived. In 1980, Alice Neel was 80 years old. She sat down in her studio in the blue and white striped armchair, arranged the mirror, and painted herself, nude, wearing nothing but her glasses and an expression of absolute, undivided attention. Brushes in one hand, cloth in the other. The body, soft with age, settled into itself, carrying 80 years the way old trees carry their rings, not as damage, but as record. She gave herself the same gaze she had given everyone else. No apology, no performance, no agreement to be smaller or more palatable or easier to look at than she actually was. She looked at herself the way she had looked at everyone, fully, without the protective turning away, and she found herself worthy of the looking. That was the whole lesson, if there was one. Not in the words, she never trusted words that much, but in the act, in the 80 years of showing up to the canvas and pressing what was true into paint, and refusing, always refusing to decide in advance what a face deserved. She looked, she loved, she left the evidence.